What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's Jackson. If I see Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce on my timeline one more time, I'm gonna lose it. This video has nothing to do with that. I just had to get that off my chest. Power's here, and today I am here to talk about the Indianapolis Colts game versus the LA Rams. Now, unfortunately, the Colts did lose this game by a score of 29-23 in overtime, and I mean, it was a great game. A lot of good things from this game, and honestly, I'm just going to get right into the takeaways to start off, because the first takeaway is the effort of this team and the fight of this team. Because if y'all didn't watch this game, the Colts were down 20-0 at halftime, and then were eventually down 23-0 in the third quarter. But they fought all the way back. They managed to score 23 unanswered, and they tied the game, sent it to overtime, but we couldn't get the job done in overtime. The Rams won the toss, and they took the ball in overtime, went down and scored a touchdown with Puka Nacua, and it was just a complete breakdown by the defense, and it was just a very unfortunate way for that game to end after the big comeback that happened. But just the more time I've had to think about it, I was very happy about how the team played. The fight that team had, I haven't seen that in the Colts since Andrew Luck. And it was so good to see the fight of that team, just not giving up, down by a lot. We're out of it. Did not show up in the first half at all. We're able to come back and force overtime. It was very cool to see, and the main reason, the reason we lost in overtime is because our offense didn't get a chance to touch the field, and that's all you can really ask for out of your team, is especially a team that's young like the Colts. Just to see that adversity and to see them overcome it and manage to get that game to overtime was something that was very impressive, and it's all because of one man, which is my next takeaway, Anthony Richardson and his play. Now, if you just look at the stats, he wasn't off the charts on the stat sheet. He was 11-25 with 200 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he also added a touchdown on the ground with, I think, 49 rushing yards or something along the lines of that. And Richardson played great in that second half. He did something I haven't seen out of a Colts quarterback, like I said, since Andrew Luck. He put the team on his back when it mattered the most. Didn't matter that he had played poorly throughout the entire game. He put the team on his back. He had 2 touchdown passes and then a rushing touchdown also in that second half. And he just led the offense. He looked very confident. He never seemed rattled, even while we were down, and he led the comeback, tied the game, and it just really sucks that he did not get the chance to play in overtime, because I feel like the way that offense was rolling, we definitely could have won that game in overtime, and I was very proud of how Richardson played, and he proved to me that he is that guy, and he finished the game too, which was a big concern. So he finished the game, and I'm just very happy with how he played. He looked very good despite his stats not looking good. If you watch that game, he played very well. And he just, like I said, he led the comeback. He put the team on his back, and he's going to be a star. We just need to get him the proper weapons. We need to get him the proper team around him, and then he's going to be a star. Like, I can just tell. He has that it factor, and he proved that yesterday. And the unfortunate part was the defense. They honestly didn't play that well, which leads me into my next takeaway, which is the defense. The defense, they played a good fourth quarter, I would say. That's where they played their best, but the first half, just everything that could have went poorly on defense did. And trust me, I know they couldn't stop the run for a while. I have Kyron Williams on my fantasy team. He got me almost 30 points, which did help me win, but it was at the expense of my team, which I don't like. The defense, this was the worst game they've played all season, in my opinion. I mean, they had the Rams on the ropes in that fourth quarter, and the reason I say they play bad is because just once it got to overtime, just completely fell apart. Like, the Rams, they got the ball first, marched right down the field like it was nothing. Like, come on, guys. Like, we can't be doing that. Like, the secondary played. They actually did not have a bad game. The secondary was not really the issue until that overtime. They had a very decent game, including a Kitty Moore interception, but we couldn't get the job done, and we just can't play like that in overtime. Like, last week we went to overtime against a much better quarterback in Lamar Jackson, and we were able to contain them. We were able to contain him, but we couldn't contain a Matthew Stafford who was on one leg, might I add, because he got injured earlier in that game, but he kept playing. He was on one leg and picked apart the defense in overtime. It's just like, it's things like that that really in the moment was like, well, why did we even waste our time coming back? Like, just could have just taken the blowout, and then I would have had a lot better jokes to tell in this video. It would have been a classic Jackson Powers Rage video, but no, they just had to. They went to overtime and fell apart. But defense, we're not going to win doing that. Like, that tells me the defense is still a long way away, and I don't know. It was just a very. I think there also is a part of it that could be fatigue. I mean, they played a full overtime last week, and then they went to overtime again this week. So we just need to quit going to overtime because the defense just gets gassed. And, I'm not going to put all the blame on the defense. The offense didn't play great in the first half. And honestly, at the end of the fourth quarter, the offense did have a chance to go down and win the game, but went 3 and out. So the defense is not fully to blame, but still, they fell apart when it mattered the most, and you just can't do that. And the next thing I do want to talk about is the overtime rules and how they need to be changed. Like, I'm not trying to be one of those bitter fans that complains about the overtime rules not being fair, but they just aren't fair. Like, I think what they should do is that every team at least needs a possession. Just, like, no matter what happens on the first one, unless it's like a safety or a pick six, each team needs to get a possession just to make it a little fair. Like, go back to 15 minutes. Each team gets a possession, and if it's still tied at the end of the 15, it's a tie. Well, we can just do that. Like, I see a lot of people saying that they need to go to college rules. I don't think that's necessarily what needs to happen. I just think both teams need to have a chance to possess the football in overtime, and I think that would make things a little bit more fair, but I'm not going to spend too much time on that because what's done is done. We lost, and there's nothing really much that can be done about that, but I do want to name my game MVP, and I'm giving it to Anthony Richardson this week. Richardson led the comeback, put the team on his back, made a lot of big plays, and proved a lot of people wrong, I think. He looked very good. And, yeah, I don't have an honorable mention this week. I just got Anthony Richardson. That's about it. So, yeah, next week we do play the Tennessee Titans. It's going to be a big one, a big AFC South game. The Titans, I can't tell if they're good or not. I mean, last week they got their asses kicked by the Browns, and now this week they kicked the Bengals' asses, so I don't know if they're good or not. So we're going to see what happens. I do think it's a game the Colts can win. I think, especially after the way they lost, they're going to go out there pissed off, and I think that there's a good possibility the Colts do win. But we'll see what happens. Also, it's my birthday next week. It's my 21st, actually, so I'm going to be in a mood if they lose, to say the least. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys liked, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on the bell notifications, and for everything in the description box. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.